Welcome back to User Experience Points. This week we're going to be looking at Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. This game is an absolutely massive experience with hundreds of tasks to complete, places to explore, and collectibles to find. It's a great example of what can be accomplished by a large development team with a long series of previous games to learn from and lots of money. Considering the ridiculous amount of resources to manage, content to read, progress to consider, upgrades to purchase, equipment to craft, map icons to memorize, and statistics to examine, Black Flag's UX design is a mostly flawless execution with only a few shortcomings. I can't possibly cover it all, so let's look at a few of the more interesting techniques used to create such an intuitive and consistent user experience. Black Flag's standard heads-up display can be a bit cluttered, especially when a storm and some hostile ships roll in while you're trying to record footage, but thankfully it's 100% customizable. You can literally turn everything off if you really want to. See, the best part of playing video games is that feeling that you, the player, are injecting a little bit of yourself into the experience. Being able to customize Black Flag's heads-up display is one more personal touch available along with choosing the sails on your ship and the clothes Edward wears. Not only does customizing the HUD provide that sense of agency, but it also gives players the satisfaction of graduating beyond elements they no longer need and keeping the ones they have decided are essential. It gives a nice sense of progression that feels like a reward for mastering the game. I like my customized HUD setup because there's nothing on screen whenever I'm doing my favorite thing in the game, sailing and listening to my crew sing shanties. This game is lovely. I'm trying to avoid discussing straight-up visual design and graphics on this show because I tend to fangirl out when I see it executed very well. I mean, if I'd brought it up last week with Destiny, the episode would basically been 20 minutes of me being like, oh my god, the typography is gorgeous and the layouts are just look at them! But I bring it up here because the animations used throughout Black Flag's interface actually impact usability in both positive and negative ways. The best example of this is when you're browsing a list of weapons, ship upgrades, or equipment to craft. The images and radial meters provide visual interest that directs your attention to where it's needed on screen, but the important information that needs to be processed quickly, like stats or required resources, appears immediately. This results in a cool-looking menu that doesn't compromise usability for a flashy presentation. The area where this doesn't quite work are the animated progress indicators. It's awesome that Black Flag's menus are littered with reminders of all the crazy things you can do and how much more of them you need to do, including that cool list of activities that appears when you arrive at a location, but in this case presentation affects usability. Every time you scroll through items where progress is represented by a percentage, the number has to animate up from 0. Look at how long it takes me to scroll through the progress tracker here. For each task I have to stop, wait for the number to count up, then go to the next one. This is a completely unnecessary waste of the player's time. I feel like this could have been solved easily by making use of the radial meters from the weapon selection screen, displaying the percentage immediately and letting the radial meter be the part that animates from 0. This is a really small nitpick, but I wanted to bring it up because it's very easy to accidentally stray away from the path of usability when you want to make something look cool. Out of all the refined mechanics in Black Flag, switching between equipped weapons has benefited the most from previous games. Let's take a look at its predecessors. The original Assassin's Creed had a single hidden blade, a sword, fists, and a dagger to choose from. Since the demand for more variety was high for the sequel, Altair's simple arsenal was upgraded to Ezio's 2 hidden blades and a crazy grab bag of Da Vinci gadgets in Assassin's Creed 2. Naturally, this was more than the 8-directional pad was capable of, so a radial menu was used with the D-pad mapped to predetermined shortcuts. Ezio's inventory only grew in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, so the D-pad's functionality was expanded to allow the player to set their own shortcuts. And finally, in Assassin's Creed Revelations, Ezio's gear was divided into primary and secondary weapons, adding a second radial menu controlled by the right analog stick. This may seem like an overcomplication, but I found this to be a very usable method of selecting 2 things at the same time. Games expect us to independently use 2 analog sticks all the time, why not use it here? Assassin's Creed 3's weapon selection felt like a step backwards, much like the rest of the game. It keeps the necessary separation of primary and secondary weapons, but takes you out of the world with a full screen interface that forces the player to choose which type of weapon they're selecting before they select it. Sorry, Connor. At least you got your cool tomahawk. And finally, Black Flag's weapon selection comes full circle by mapping its navigation back to the D-pad while keeping the crucial division of primary and secondary weapons introduced in later titles. No tool at your disposal is more than a few D-pad taps away. Primary weapons are up and down, while secondary weapons are left and right. It can get a little cumbersome to use during epic naval battles in the middle of thunderstorms, since using the D-pad forces you to use the same thumb required to move Edward out of getting stabbed range to switch to his smoke bombs, but most of the time it works pretty well. This same selection is also cleverly used to instruct your crew to sing while you're sailing. Seriously guys, I could just do this for hours. When you complete a mission in Black Flag, you're presented with a summary including optional objectives completed and my favorite feature in the game's UI, providing immediate feedback for the mission you just completed. The actual experience is perfectly executed. It takes 2 seconds, the star ratings are clearly labeled, and it's right where it needs to be. Out of the player's way and immediately after the mission when it's most fresh in your mind. Assassin's Creed is an annual franchise, so it's nice to see Ubisoft reaching out to players directly through the game in such a pleasant and usable way. Whoever designed this feature has UX superpowers. While it's easy to find a few nitpicks here and there, overall Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag has incredibly well executed UX design even with its massive amount of content. With 2 major Assassin's Creed releases coming later this year, one previous gen, one current gen, I'm excited to see how this interface is further refined in Assassin's Creed Rogue and how it advances to the current generation in Assassin's Creed Unity. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if this somewhat overlooked aspect of video games has got you intrigued. You can expect a new episode of UXP every Friday. See you next week.